They're spreading manure out here. Oh, foul.
Fun times. When I used to hate that when I was in res, the farm fields all around the building where I was, they would spread it, and it's like for that 1 or 2 weeks of the year, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah. Currently, right now, I just got a waft of like hot air that was
nice.
all manure.
We used to call that money when we were driving on, we're doing family road trips. Be like, oh, what's that
Money.
smell? Oh, that's money.
That's money. Yeah.
Nice. All right. It looks like we are live. So, hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 431 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada, recording September 16th, 2024. And we need your help to support Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. And you can also show that you're not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, our homepage. Follow the link on the right. And I guess welcome back to everyone after our hiatus for a little while. So in case people have forgot, the next segment, which is our favorite one, is What Are We Drinking? And as is tradition, we start with Liz. Liz, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the good old DC, some Diet Coke tonight.
Solid choice. Solid choice.
Yeah, I haven't partook in a couple of months, so well, I shouldn't say that, a month and a half. So,
just because, or
it's all part of just like a healthier living,
Liz.
a healthier Liz. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, doing some things, and I guess that would be the thing that I'm leveling up. It's just my overall health.
Well, there you go. Would you count that as something off of your Patriot Challenge thing, as you're improving your fighting position, or have you done other things off of the Patriot Challenge?
Well, I'm teaching a women's self-defense course right now. Yeah, it's a little hobnobby, but we had like 20 females come out, so that was good.
Yeah.
So it's like a 6-week course. So that I feel like that's good because I always like level up my skill when I have to reshare. So
yeah,
that's been good. And I've just been doing a bunch of different things. I don't know. I feel like I've never organized well enough to answer this question succinctly. So Benny, you're next.
What am I doing? So I'm drinking some Black Fly Long Island iced tea tonight. Been acclimating to moving out west, which should not take as long as it did or be as involved, but
the time difference is hard.
Time difference is hard. I did a bunch of auto repair stuff with my vehicles, changed the oil and all that. But I've had some issues with my Honda HR-V, which I got in 2016. And so I actually had to buy a soldering kit and learn how to solder. So that was fun. Yeah. I didn't burn down my car, so that's good.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah. And you, Gavin, what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I guess it's been a while. So doing all of my reading, knocked quite a few bucks off of the list lately, so that's good. Probably need to do a little bit more on the exercise front. Been a little lazy on that, but I've done a little here and there, practicing some skills, doing all of the shooty things with Dave and Andrew. So, doing what I can. Trying to keep it real. Yeah, doing those things. I know Pierre is coming, so we will get back to him, but we'll just move on, and we'd remind everyone that we appreciate your feedback and we'd like to hear it, good or bad. Mostly bad, because then we'll make fun of you on the internet. But
unless
so please
it's valid.
Yeah, we'll still make fun of you though.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't really want to be part of this if I can't.
Criticism, but
I don't really want
You
to
know.
be part of this if I can't like
Yeah.
make fun of somebody.
Yeah.
My whole
it-
day job is spent telling people to be professional. I'd
yeah.
like to spend some time being unprofessional.
Yeah. Oh, and I can't even tell you. I had a meeting with my we don't have HR, like I am the HR department.
I was gonna say, I was like, isn't that your skill set?
Yeah, oddly enough. But we contract out a lot of that stuff just because we don't have the time for it. So I have specialists that like I have to do the actual thing, but like I go, here's my problem, and
Yeah,
they tell
fix
me
it.
how to solve it and what language to use or not use. And
Yeah.
then I have to do it. So I was in a meeting with them today talking about all kinds of stuff that's just like, so yeah, these
Yep.
drinks are much needed this evening.
We've
HR
decided
stuff
that
is
we
the
should
worst.
have we decided at work that we should have like water gun fights on Fridays and dodgeball games.
You got to be
Couldn't that
careful with
result
those.
in charges?
Yeah, water gun
Apparently
fights could
these
get you in
days
big
it could.
trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. These days it sure could.
Yes. So if
Ridiculous.
you'd like to give feedback and get made fun of,
Yeah, we're
potentially get
primed.
mid fun of,
Primed.
Liz, my work
Feedback,
actually
yeah.
does that annually. They get all the managers outside, and then I think it's like $1 a water balloon, and it goes to charity, but you get to throw water balloons at your at managers. So
Oh, that's great.
nice.
No,
That'd be
what
fun.
about
See, I thought
I
of
want
doing
to
it, but
throw
having
it
like
at other
my
people?
credit manager sit in a dunk tank, and our customers
Oh.
could come and pay money to dunk the credit manager that's always calling them asking for
I
money.
love it. I love it.
We haven't got around to that, and I don't think the current one would like it very much. But
Gavin, then you have that one guy who shows up and says, "Just put it on my bill."
yeah.
Put it on my account.
Ooh, that
Put it
could
on
get
my
awkward,
account.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah, it's like,
feedback
wait a
at
second.
CanadianPatriotPodcast.com if you want to leave feedback and potentially get made fun of. Or
Mhm.
maybe we will, instead of giving you jeers, give you cheers, to quote an oldie. But yes,
I like it.
you can find us on iTunes or here on the YouTubes. Upcoming events, the Army Run, it's on like right now for the virtual runs, and the in-person one is coming up very shortly. I think they said like for the virtual one, it's like the next day or two they're canceling registration, which means it is very shortly. So if you feel like going and running in person with a bunch of people, which sounds like a terrible idea, you better get on
Yeah.
it. Or you could just do it on your own virtually, socially distanced and safe, as it were. Don't want to
What
get
is this
the
Army Run?
monkeypox.
You're gonna have to explain this.
So it's a charity event.
Okay.
So you register and pay money to go and do exercise on your own. You get some stuff for it though. You get like
Sounds
a fancy
amazing.
like every year they give out a new dry fit type shirt with some form of Army logo and camouflage and all of the things.
Think IPSC jersey, but illegal for IPSC.
What? That doesn't have any.
Gavin froze. So it's like the
You also get
Also get what?
you're not allowed. You can't wear camouflage for IPSC.
You skip there, Gavin.
No.
Yeah, Liz. So
back.
it's like a rash guard, but it has like advertisers on it. But it also normally has the the relish camo on it, which is illegal in IPSC. Interestingly enough, and a big joke
really
for
care
IPSC
about
guys
that.
is they made those kind of jerseys. So,
but yeah, it's like what I'm wearing right now. But this isn't an Army run. This is just a regular one.
I'm looking at the website right now, and I love that GD sponsors some of it.
Yes. Yeah, of course they do, because
that makes sense.
who uses all their products? Yeah.
Exactly. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But they also sponsored like the lowest one.
Yes.
And I'm like, listen, those tanks, they're pretty.
Well,
they're
don't
pretty
worry.
Expensive.
We'll get to some of that later in the show. Not tanks per se, but other equipment that the Army uses. But yeah, the Army Run is on right now. The money goes to supporting the troops, not necessarily to supporting General Dynamics or L3 or Colt Canada or any of the other plethora of Canadian companies that support our military. And by that, I mean cost taxpayers dollars. But, yeah. But
okay, cool.
On to the news.
Hmm.
Much like ourselves, the MPs return to Ottawa for promises to be a boisterous sitting.
Okay.
So yes, the MPs took their summer vacation, as they do. The government that governs least governs best. So at least when they are on vacation, nothing terrible can happen. But they are back in Ottawa today. And if you've been paying attention to what's been going on today, they have been doing what they do best, and that is bickering at one another over the stupidest things possible.
Did JT dye his hair to get rid of all the gray?
It certainly looks like it.
Yeah, like coming back new and fresh.
As someone that is not blessed with a full head of hair currently, I am not maybe an expert on hair, especially the kind on your head, but I imagine that once it goes gray, it doesn't go back to being colored all on its own.
I guess maybe that was more of a rhetorical question than Gavin, because no kidding.
Yeah,
He probably can't.
Certainly,
he probably can't pull off the silver fox look. So
yeah,
No, he couldn't
It's
pull
true.
off the dyed
Anderson
version.
Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Although
He
I'm
opens
sure
his mouth and the effect is just trash. So
Yeah, well, I mean, Anderson Cooper works for CNN, so I would say the same for him. But
also true.
But yes, they are back in, working mode, if you could call it that. But this kind of follows quickly on for those that have been living under a rock like we have for the last, I don't know, month or so. The coalition that's not a coalition, but it is the agreement that got busted up between JT and Jagmeet.
I think it's sorry,
well,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna wait for Pierre to show up and we can quick over to Pierre and welcome Pierre back. And you're on, bud.
His audio.
There we go.
Can you
You're
hear
on,
me
bud.
now?
Pierre. Hello?
He's waving. That's good. Can you hear?
One moment, he can't hear you.
On it.
Because he's just like, I feel like he's staring into my soul.
It's true.
Yeah. So since it's not on the topic, while we wait for Pierre to get his audio working,
that's fair. Yeah.
Would anyone else agree that it seems like this agreement dissolving was just a media ploy?
Oh, 100% it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same reason that's why it's like it's trash. It's the same reason that it got together. It's just a manipulation. And you know what? Coalition governments. I had some people give me really big flack when they first got together. And I was like, oh, this is bullshit. And people gave me flack and they're like, oh, coalition governments work all the time, blah, 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 in Europe. And I was like, coalition governments maybe work in other countries, but in this country, like, it's a survival tactic and it's just a giant manipulation. So
you need a lot more than one or you need a lot more than like 2 or 3 parties to have a coalition.
Well, and that's
to have a coalition work. If you don't have enough, if your party does not have enough sway, like the NDP, it's just them holding on to liberal coattails to get noticed. If it really did dissolve, it would have ended in a no confidence vote, and it never did. So I don't know.
That's because we kept giving them everything they wanted.
Exactly.
Oh,
Then there we go.
he
Pierre
is.
has fixed his audio. So Pierre, important question.
Yes.
What are you drinking? And what have you completed off the Patriot Challenge?
Tonight I am drinking my usual whiskey and Pepsi.
Excellent choice. Solid choice.
Great mug.
And
Those
Chalice.
are your enemies.
yes.
Wow.
Patriot Challenge, been a rough little while. Drinking the waters, getting ready
That's
for
good.
the winters because that's a coming. So lots of yard work, organizing sheds, finding clothes, sorting through stuff, trying to still move in.
I'm going to be honest. Some days I think that leveling up just means that you made it through another day without killing anybody.
Well, like,
Allegedly.
just getting through the day sometimes is enough.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah.
all had that.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
and that's why people form coalition governments sometimes is to just get through the
Just
day.
make it through. Yeah.
Yeah, just to make it through and make sure they get their fucking pension.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, so, I mean, I absolutely in a real country, like somewhere in Europe, where like coalition means that it's split pretty evenly and they actually have to work together,
Yeah. There's
accomplish
movement.
things, then yeah, it's a little give and take.
So that's the interesting thing. That was the biggest comparison actually when this first started, was that, oh, well, it works all the time in, in Europe. And I was like, yeah, but in case you didn't notice, like we don't operate like Europe
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So even
They don't have the stupid
like
first
what
past the
we-
post nonsense. That like
yeah, like we have like bits and pieces from different political systems, and we can't seem to sort that out. So
yeah, I mean,
it's kind of
effectively we
like
have a two-party system, but
Mhm.
with a
Yeah.
third party that like occasionally manages to gain enough power that they have
To
to
help.
to make
partner.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
help support another side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who doesn't like had enough power to win, but not enough power to govern effectively because they can get outvoted.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
pretty
yeah,
messy.
but yes, the dissolving of this coalition government is totally for show.
Mhm.
Like, and I
agree.
like that the conservatives are trying to push that and be like, okay, like if you're done with this, then like get the vote of no confidence going for the carbon tax. That here you are talking about it and saying that like Trudeau's full of shit and we don't need this, but you voted for it 24 freaking times
Yeah. I
or
know.
whatever the number is, some ridiculous number. But yeah,
I guess I just tend to have a really, well, I actually have no, qualms about this. I just don't trust a lot of those things because there's no, like, it's all, the path of least resistance, or it's the easiest move. Everything is managed that way. Nothing is done based on like an ethical stance on a position.
Yeah.
A lot of folks will flip flop just based on what they perceive public opinion to be. And even,
Yep.
Some people may whatever criticize this, but historically I've always been, like more of a conservative, going really
Okay.
far back. My parents always had us involved in politics, but even now, you can barely get enough time in office to prove that what you're riding on is actually going to be enacted. And half of it gets changed. And it's just
Well,
like
yeah.
some giant pissing contest. And while I believe government has its place, I certainly don't think that our government is in any form, even, the Polyev conservatives, like, sounds good on paper, but
Yeah.
haven't really
when
met
you-
anybody that does a good enough job to
No,
actually prove it.
Everybody does, they stand and do policies where they fight and argue whenever it comes to election time. We could do this better and everything, but they're never held accountable for what they don't actually do and what they actually stand by and what they said they were going to do. And then they don't have to answer any questions about anything that they did do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
we'll
think I
look
have
into it
once heard a
ourselves.
question get answered in question period. Not once.
Yeah.
It's the biggest gripe in my mind where people can get in trouble for saying the wrong thing or inappropriate behavior in the House of Commons, but either lying or ignoring a question is completely okay.
Yeah. Well, I would
Like
say that
where do you get off saying like, oh, you called the guy a bad name, or you said he did
Yeah.
something unethical or inappropriate?
You
And
should
that's
hear what
not
we say
okay.
on Monday
But
nights
it's
about them.
totally okay
Yeah.
to lie through your teeth or just blatantly ignore the question.
Well, yeah, or
Yeah.
even if you simply just drop a cuss word out of frustration and not direct it at anyone, but just like, oh my God, or like, holy shit, this is so frustrating. You get called for like unparliamentary language.
Was it even on a hot mic though?
Yeah.
Because I know
Well, but,
there's
like,
for
even
sure a
if you
case we're
did.
talking about.
No, but like even if you did, like you get in big trouble for
Yeah.
it. Meanwhile, someone can ask you the same question 50 times and you don't actually have to answer the question. And you could just completely respond with something unrelated and nobody goes, no, hold on. You haven't answered like the Speaker of the House should
And-
get up and be like,
Yeah.
no, answer the fucking question. But no.
Or answer the question if you want to keep within parliamentary decorum.
Parliamentary language, yes. That is
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair.
Well,
But no,
this is-
you're right. You're right.
Okay, but
And-
here's the problem is that like the actual watchdogs, the actual, accountability authorities of these situations are internal. So
Yes.
you're expecting like teenagers to, keep themselves grounded, right?
Well,
like
even
it
the
doesn't
adults,
it doesn't
like, I
work.
mean,
No, but
we-
like the theme is it's
Yeah.
like you ground your teenager because they're going out all night. And then
Yeah.
you're like, now I expect you to choose a time, choose an amount, and choose your punishment, and then adhere to it. And we're just gonna look the other way. Like, I'd be interested to know how many people actually pay attention to parliamentary proceedings. Like, not many people
well,
do.
but that's when they had
No.
the same day that like PP there had the wacko comment. The other I
Yeah.
can't remember her name at the moment, but I think it was that
I don't know.
Dan show, I think. She said something, even though like it was misheard and got accused of unparliamentary language or whatever, or she retracted her statement, and then got booted out. When she got like the papers the next morning that are the transcripts, it was completely removed.
That's
So, like,
insanity.
So
You
you
know, it's
got
not even
you got
just that,
kicked
like-
out,
Yeah.
and they
It's not
can't
even
even
that
tell
the
you why.
watchdogs aren't doing anything. They are actively removing things from the things. And it's like, this is like, I know it's something stupid, but it's also kind of a big deal because those transcripts are a transcript of like legal proceedings because it's government stuff that is.
But that's the whole point though, is
Yeah.
that there's no bipartisan or unbiased situation
Well,
that's actually and
Yeah.
and you can't really, right? Because even if you've got a group of people that are like just following the letter of the law, there's always going to be personal biases when you're looking at something.
absolutely.
That's just how
but
it
it's one
works.
thing if they're just like not doing things that they're supposed
Yeah.
to versus like actively doing things they are not supposed to.
My parents went to a really interesting talk the other day, and it was surrounding like Randy Hillier.
Yeah.
If you remember him, he was
He
very
had a-
inflammatory
yeah.
on the provincial level. Like, I think in a good way. He was kind of one of the OG political gangsters, I'd say, in terms of
Yeah.
rebellion. And he's so they went and heard a talk that kind of surrounded him. I think he was there, but anyways, they were talking about how sometimes, and I could be paraphrasing, I was not there, but this is how it was explained to me. Just, a lot of folks are not getting involved in politics because they think that maybe they can't enact change. And I think that that's the reality is that's the crux of it, right? Because it's the same people cycling through the political system. And it's like your change can come from a local level, municipal, provincial, federal, regional, you name it, right? And we don't do that. So who's going to be the accountability, right? Who's going to manage that accountability? And that's half the problem. Like my frustration is only so limited because like I can't get frustrated at a system that I still hold up. Like I'm not
Well, but
really
it's
doing
one of those,
anything
like,
to change it.
It's so awkward because like you're right, like it's frustrating. Like I think everyone on this panel and all of our listeners and everything have that same like, does it really matter what I vote for?
Yeah.
Because one vote isn't going to do anything, good or bad.
You're right.
But if we all just give up or not enough of us
Yeah.
give up, then the
Yeah.
other side will win. We either need to all be in or we need to all be out because
Yeah.
like, and I know a few people that like refuse to vote because they're like, oh, I don't believe in the system. And it's like, well, believe in it or not, you're
It's
still
what we have.
forced to live in it. So
Yeah.
you may as well participate and at least like try. Cause then later, like when you have your human rights tribunal, you can at least get up and be like, look, I tried to play within the system and play fair
Yeah.
and do everything, but then eventually you pushed me to be unreasonable and I had to get a Komatsu and up armor and then drive through buildings.
You know, it's
But I
really funny that you
tried, right?
said
Like,
that,
I
'cause that's where my
tried
brain
to work.
went.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
100%.
exactly where
Right?
my
Like,
brain went.
but like that's
And that started at a local level.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he
but-
tried to work with the city council and all the people, and like he just got
Yeah.
so frustrated that he had to do something. And in some cases, maybe one man or woman can make a difference if you have to do
Mhm.
something
Well-
crazy. Not that we're
Did he make a
suggesting that.
difference?
No,
Not
but I
that
mean,
we're suggesting that.
so, but here's the thing that a lot of
But
people
did he make a
forget too.
difference?
Yes,
He
he
made
did.
a-
Because guess what?
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We're
how
talking
we make a
about it.
difference.
Netflix made a bunch of money off of
Yeah.
it because they made an
Yeah, but if
actual
you ever
decent
watch that
documentary
stuff,
out of
it's all done from the other. From what I hear, it's
Yeah.
all done from the
No.
other perspective.
Oh, absolutely. But it
Oh, I'm
was
sure it
actually
is.
a
Stuff.
really, it was
But-
a good documentary.
He's
Let me tell
inspired
you
some
something
people.
though. I was gonna say, if you've ever watched V for Vendetta, let me tell
Yes.
you, it has
Great
an
movie.
impact, right? But like, I mean, think about that. That's a historical event that would have been
Yeah.
considered absolute terrorism and treason at the point. But it's no different than things like, watching Mel Gibson's The Patriot, about the revolution and things like that. You just watch stuff like that and you're like, oh yeah, these people were
Yeah.
just ordinary folks. And I mean, obviously it's very glamorized, you name it, whatever. But it's like these folks are ordinary folks that just got up one day and they're like, listen, I just cannot
enough.
live in a world where, I've left garbage for the next generations. And I find it very interesting because it's like, you look back and it's like, oh yeah, I'm always going to remember the things that I've participated in, the stuff I've fought for. And like, I know
Yeah.
that my nieces and nephews are also going to remember being part of some of that stuff. And it's like a little bit of a legacy that allows change to happen, even a little bit at a time. It's a social movement in a really small way. And people forget that that's how change is enacted, right? So like this bitching
Sometimes,
about
yeah,
parliament, like,
Yeah.
how many people pay attention? Not a lot of people. I mean,
Well,
I had to have a
like-
conversation about how the Employment Standards Act in Ontario just changed. And they're like, what? I was like,
Well,
yeah, it's on the same bill that the Broadcasting Act changed too. Like all
yeah,
of that
to-
stuff. And people are like, what?
Yeah, and to use like for lack of a better one, an American example. I mean, if you look at like Rosa Parks,
Mhm.
did her going on that bus and sitting in that seat, and I know you can go into it and it was kind of a stage thing and they wanted someone else to do that, but that act in and of itself didn't necessarily do anything, but that
Mhm.
act sparked a movement which then
Yeah.
had effect down the road. So you never know what little thing that you do or don't do can,
Isn't that like the butterfly effect?
yes.
Yeah.
So we kind of need some of these, dissidents and detractors from certain things to be vocal. Now you got to do it in the right way, because otherwise you end up like an Uncle Ted who
Yeah.
go about things the wrong way, even though the message is maybe the right message.
Yep.
Yes.
But even then, sometimes, like, if you look at him, was he effective? No, he didn't really stop anything. But also, people are still reading his book.
Yeah.
People are still talking about him,
Yeah.
and it's still inspiring people. So, good, bad, there are consequences to all of that, and a little thing could turn into a big thing. But going back to the members of parliament back at work,
Yeah. What a rant, eh?
yeah, that's fine. That's kind of what we do. That's, I think,
I
people
know.
like us. One of the best comments we ever got about this was, it's like going to the pub with your friends and drinking and talking.
Yes.
It's
And that's
very
what we
true.
wanted. But yes,
Love it.
the Conservatives are pushing to have a vote of no confidence over almost everything. Jagmeet is like, he will take each vote of confidence as it comes.
Which basically means he's not going to vote it in until he gets his pension.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
the
then-
next day he'll say,
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
yeah,
I'm here
and
for
then
everybody.
Trudeau and the Liberals say that they're focusing on their own agenda. So,
So
It's not
nothing
fucking
new.
us more.
Understood.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Nothing new. But I mean, I think it's going to get really interesting because I heard somewhere, and I mean, fact check me, but that like Trudeau currently, okay, so Trudeau's dad,
Castro?
it was okay,
The one on paper
yeah, the
Okay.
one on paper,
with the
senior,
turtlenecks.
yeah,
Yeah,
senior.
okay.
When Mulrooney got in, it was like it was like really high vote out, right? Because it was no confidence as well, right? I think it
believe
was.
so. It was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Vote of no confidence. Yeah, Pierre Elliott. Well, I guess now they're indicating that JT is worse than his dad
Oof.
in terms of polling. So
I
that's
mean,
like the
That doesn't
highest,
surprise me.
but
Isn't
that's
there-
the highest in Canadian history. Like
But he keeps
parliamentary
hitting
history.
all the markers for governments that aren't supposed to continue. Like he, what's it called? Minority government,
Yeah.
divorced while
Yeah.
while in office. These are all things that are supposed to that have in the past shown government's not surviving, yet he's still here for some reason.
Do you know what I think part of it is though?
Jagmeet.
You think that's what
Jagmeet.
it is?
He's
Yeah.
propping
I
him
think
up.
I actually think that there's something a little bit scarier, in my opinion, that's going on. Okay. So I think that I've encountered this a couple of times. People are afraid of the idea of conservatism because they believe
absolutely.
that capitalism is the downfall of things like social systems and, like funding of
yeah.
things, the arts, the medical
Oh, yeah.
system,
If
all
the
of that. They think it's
conservatives
the end
win,
of
they
it.
will literally be out in
Absolutely.
the streets slaughtering the gays and all of this. And you're like, no,
that's not how it works. But then the
I
other
go-
side of it though is because I think people are so politically illiterate that they're getting confused things like, okay, in Canada right now, Ford is being a dickhead with a lot of things, right? So
Yes.
he's a conservative though.
I
But
stopped
he's-
paying attention to Ontario politics. Please enlighten me. What's going on in that
Pretty
province
much-
of yours?
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, locally, he's trying
Yeah.
to usurp like 700 acres of farmland
yes.
to justify.
The fat man was our guy
Yeah,
for a
now
very
he's
brief
like
moment in
the
time.
opposite. Now
Yeah.
he's like really pissing off farmers, which is like I thought he would have learned. Anywho, so it's
Wait, I thought
it's
they got
just-
rid of the green belt thing.
Oh no, it's super
Yeah.
complicated. So
Okay.
he's
I'll
trying to
skip over that for now.
backtrack. Yeah, he's trying to
Yeah.
backtrack, and it's like involving a whole bunch of farmers and farmland and stuff like that, and it's really complex and shitty. But so I think people are, like just correlating provincial conservatism that Ford is presenting as what conservatism as an ideology is, and on a federal level. And it's
I'm-
like, that's not really true. But
I believe that-
unfortunately, if you're like politically illiterate, you're just gonna assume like, and
Conservative
okay,
bad.
so yeah,
Put
well, and I mean,
conservative in power.
I still
Well, they're
get,
also, I think, conflating like conservatism from 50 years ago with modern conservatism, where you're like, bro, there's almost no difference.
No,
it's insanity, but it's insanity though. Like I still get PSAC emails from when I worked in the government, and they blatantly, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to like read some of their garbage. So it's interesting though, because like as a federal employee, I was very short-lived. But as a federal employee, you like sign a whole bunch of things saying like, hey, I'm pretty much going to be apolitical, right? Like
Yeah.
people are not going to know what my
But
politics are, yada, yada.
somehow, the
Meanwhile,
union
PSAC
is
is like
yeah.
emailing us saying like, if literally verbatim, if you don't vote the Liberals in, you're going to lose your job because they're just going
Yeah.
to cut all this funding. And I'm like, listen,
That's not
that
gonna happen.
seems bullshitty,
Yeah.
right?
well, either so whether it's bullshit or not, it might just say that you have a really shitty fucking job and you should just be better
Yeah.
at stuff.
No, but
as well.
but it's
No,
the
but I'm
funding
not saying
thing.
in your-
That's pretty much what
Yeah.
they're saying. No,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I'm
It's
so grateful
unions
I'm
in
not working
general.
there anymore.
Yeah,
But
They're not very
well,
far-sighted when it comes to that stuff.
well, they don't really have to be, right? But the point is that like they're conflating provincial
Yeah.
decision making with just conservatism in general. And I could see how, some people would be really afraid of that.
Yeah.
like healthcare in Ontario, I'm assuming it's everywhere in Canada, but healthcare in Ontario is like awful. Employment market, like they're opening up stores. Okay, I'll say this. Where I work, posted a job ad a week ago. I have 225 resumes to sort through. Okay. Now that sounds like an exciting prospect.
No.
But I'll tell you that all of the entry level and like individuals that live in the community that want to get that job have just gotten ousted from that opportunity by the amount of individuals that are applying from farther away and have credentials in other countries that I now officially cannot eliminate them
Dismiss.
from the race for.
Yep.
So
That is
like, and I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but I've heard that story, like, you know, a new grocery store is opening up. They got 400 applicants. And guess what? That 15-year-old that's trying to get into the job market as a bagger is never going to get a job.
Well, no, because you
Right?
have to bag your own stuff and you have to use the self-checkout.
No, but
Right.
no, it's just going to go to somebody else who's a student who
Yeah.
has like a student visa for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
I mean,
problem,
that's
like
what we're
all of
dealing with.
that government, all of that government decision making is like conflated to an ideology.
Yeah.
And it's
oh,
like,
absolutely.
that's not even conservatism, because let me tell you, that's more of a
That's
liberal
just-
ideology of just like open the
Well, and
borders,
I mean,
right?
well, but like you
So-
can finally see that like they're at least talking that they're going to start pushing back on that and
did
start
hear
sending
that too.
people
Yeah.
back. But like I'm dealing with that right now
I
where
believe you would be.
I mean, and I've seen the same thing. You put out like a job posting, and it's been like this for the last few years where
Yeah.
all of the people applying are new Canadians, typically from a handful of places in the world,
Mm-hmm.
none of which are in Europe.
Yeah.
And like, I don't care,
No,
but
me neither.
this is the trend I am seeing. But they've all got qualifications that
But
are
do they-
either too much
Mhm.
or not at all what we're looking for. So we like immediately eliminate the people that have like no qualifications in what we're looking for, because it's just like, okay, great, you did this. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we rein it into the ones that have relevant qualifications, and we have brought some of them in and given them the job. And either that other country has way different standards than we do, or they're lying.
And there's no
And-
way to prove it. So it
Yeah.
just like, it's just this cyclical thing. And I
Yeah.
guess that's without getting too far down a rabbit hole, because like I could talk on this topic for hours, but without getting too
Probably
far down the
refrain
rabbit,
from my comments.
yeah,
Well,
it might be safe for the internet if you don't wait until
Yeah,
after
I'll-
we're
I understand what
offline.
you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. I'll-
What you mean, Gavin? As someone who works behind a counter selling products that you need to have certain qualifications to purchase, the amount of people that come in that claim to have that certification and asking you questions that are like, you should know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Why are you asking that?
Well, and even crazier, like we have a guy that works for us that is here on a work visa. His work visa has recently expired, but we are in the process, like we as a company are paying the legal fees for this because this guy is phenomenal
Sure.
and we want to keep him because he's been
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. But
Yeah.
because he's from a certain part of the world, it's very difficult and we have to do this legal process. If he was from another part of the world, the government would be giving me like 3/4 of his wage.
Yeah.
Like that's
But there was
crazy.
also and there's also the whole situation that, you know, all those things happen. You had mentioned a while ago that you had a person come in for an interview and you offered a job on the spot.
Yeah.
Person
At the door
said,
they
"Oh,
went.
I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
get my work boots out of the vehicle." And you watched him get in his car and drive away.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that
What?
dilemma of
Yeah.
like it was
I remember
quite a
that
few
story.
months
In
ago.
order to
Like,
in order to keep getting the unemployment checks, you got to go for
Oh,
job
yeah, yeah.
interviews.
Do you
Yeah, so-
actually have to go? Because I'm pretty sure this
Yes.
hour has 22 minutes. Did a thing on you just
If
yes,
you get
yes, no,
invited, I
yes.
think you have to go through the process.
yeah, but
Because
it's-
if they call and say like, oh, okay, did you apply to these jobs? They can reach out to these employers that you know?
Yeah.
So and this is the interesting dilemma, is that the only protection as an employer most people have is to make sure that their language around qualifications and standards and, you know, your job description is a little airtight. So unfortunately, I've had to work with labor lawyers a lot recently to really make sure that, you know, the information aligns with what could happen down the road. Right.
And that's the problem, is like,
Yeah.
they do spot checks, so people will do this, but I don't think they do that many spot checks, because
Well, and a lot
people
of
are
the
probably
time,
lying and getting away with it. But
If
Well,
they're
a
only
lot of the
doing
time-
10% checks on PAL applications, I know the numbers are probably a lot higher, but
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, you can
unemployment should
assume
be
that
higher.
the effort put in
Well,
is
there's-
probably in and about the same.
Well, I have a feeling
Not
they're probably
less.
way more strict on handing out a PAL in comparison to whether you're going to get EI or CERB or anything.
One would
If they-
hope,
It's
but
only-
I wouldn't know.
Only
Yeah.
from
Like,
the
Oh, it's
Information Act, it's
surprising
only
how many-
10%.
Yeah,
Only
yeah, but
10%
I'm
of
just saying-
applicants get their references get checked.
I will agree, because I put references down and nobody got a call, and my wife Mel got hers, nobody got a call. But it's not the fact that you would think that they would be more strict on that if they do get a 10% on a PAL. I mean, they do other things, like, you ever had, you know, cops called, do you have any convictions and all that stuff, so they probably check that. And if
Yeah,
you're
if there's
in the
a reason
clear,
to
you've never
call,
had
then they
Probably.
anything,
call and all the
they're
things.
like, well,
but-
what's the point of calling? But it, you know,
Yeah.
if with how strict the Canadian gun laws are and how horrible we are for wanting to own any type of firearm in our
Oh,
house,
the worst.
you would think
Literally
that,
Stephen Harper. Yeah.
yeah, but you'd think that
Telekinesis.
those,
I wish I had that power.
yeah, but you'd think they'd be, you know, they do 10% of those spot checks, that when it comes to
Oh,
all the
this has gotta
programs
be
that
way
they have
less.
and everything.
Way
Yeah.
less. Way less. They probably do
Yeah,
like 2%.
exactly. So, you know, and that person probably is taking a gamble, just being like, well, there's, you know, I know 20 people looking for a job. Are they going to spot check all 20 of us? So they're rolling the dice, but the odds
Yeah.
are very much in their favor that they're probably not going to get in trouble, or nothing's going to happen,
Oh yeah.
or anything like that. And
you still have
you
to
know.
be pretty ballsy to like take that risk. But
Oh, for
I don't
sure.
know. I guess your statistics are pretty
Yeah.
Yeah.
good.
Some people don't care.
yeah, and
But-
some people probably don't care, because they're like, okay, well, I've, you know, turned down 6 jobs. I'll just go get another one and actually find one I want to apply
know what?
for it,
Do you know
get the
what's
job,
really-
and then get it.
Do you know what's really interesting though, is that because there's been so many changes to employment standards, I think people are moving a lot more and more away from just having a warm body in place, and are seriously like, I would rather operate slightly understaffed and have the right person than have just a warm body filling a space and it be the wrong person. So you actually have like a really skewed version of what the needs versus fulfillment is in employment. Because I can, out of those 200 plus resumes that I received for a specific job, I was like, oh, okay, you know, like I'd like, if possible, like, you're a strong candidate if you have 2 out of the 3 of these qualifications, like, you know, and these qualifications are like experience based, not technical skill, right? It's experience, so not certification, or I guess, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm still gonna get people claiming like, I'm probably gonna have like 50 or 60 resumes still to go through with that standard in mind. But I'll tell you, out of those 50 or 60, there's maybe going to be 5 that once I do
Yeah.
a virtual interview
That
are
actually
even worth having
Yeah.
any time. But I will have at that point probably spent a week's worth of time, 30 to 40 hours
Yeah,
sorting
trying to find
through
somebody.
trash. And I
Speaking of
shouldn't say
trash,
trash,
though,
but
Yeah.
segue this.
Don't worry, guys. Chrystia Freeland says that she's not going anywhere.
Thank God.
Yeah. She's going to save us all as the finance minister. It's okay. With all the cabinet shuffles and everything else, apparently today in Parliament and all the things, the Conservatives were taking some shots at her, calling her the phantom finance minister. but she has assured everyone that
I would choose different words, but they probably
like
didn't want to
to
get kicked
ask
out of
a-
government.
Probably fair. I'd like to
Yeah.
ask a question that's a little out of pocket, but bear with me. So I'd really like to know, especially given the situations that have happened in the States with, like former president and president-elect or president candidate Donald Trump and his assassination attempt, and who it is.
attempts, plural.
Attempts,
Yeah.
right?
I was gonna
Attempts.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was another one.
I'd really like to know how many people have attempted on our government.
Probably none because they don't have guns.
Yeah. I would
Oh.
make jokes here, but I don't want to be like a
Yeah.
Jack
That's-
Black or a Kyle Gass here.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say there the number of stories of disgruntled people using diapers to drive across the country or throwing objects at political figures has seemed to gone down. So either like the people who
Yeah.
are disgruntled aren't the type of people to do that, or they don't want copycats.
I
and
guess,
would
I just-
say that
But also,
like,
diapers are expensive because of the
Yeah, it's
cost of
true.
inflation.
Yeah. In our country, in the last while, I mean, the last few attempts, if you can even call them that, was like the one guy that like rammed the gates and hopped out
Yeah.
of his truck and like ran off through the woods next
Yeah.
to the cottage and was caught almost instantly.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't
wasn't
even
there.
necessarily call that a true attempt.
Attempt.
The guy
I would
was-
call it a security breach.
Yeah, like the guy,
Yeah.
and then I mean, he
And
didn't
I'm
quite get as
certainly-
far as the guy that broke in when Chrétien was there, who actually got into the residence.
Mhm.
But I don't even know if I
Right.
would call that an assassination attempt so much as like some guy broke in.
And so
Yeah.
this is the thing, is that like I'm certainly not at all wishing that on anybody. I don't
No.
think that that's a justifiable
Not publicly,
process.
anyways. Yeah.
You know what? I don't even think that I would privately, because it's kind of one of those things where I'm
Because you
like,
don't trust people.
Yeah.
oh no, I don't really
They
care.
got their
What does
phones
it
on them
accomplish?
and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's
what does
what
it
I mean.
accomplish?
If
Yeah.
like at least we know who the douchebags are, right? Like, I mean, there's always going to be one. So at least we know
Yeah.
where they are right now. Let's
Yeah.
keep track of the biggest ones.
See,
Like we just know. So and
Yeah,
I'm
by
also
giving
not
them a
that
pal.
person. Yeah, but you know what I mean though, right? Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
always
I
I don't think
don't
that we're at
wish-
that level that requires that. Like when
Yet.
human rights like really start getting violated, then I'm gonna go a little Dietrich Bonhoeffer on people. But it's for a different day. Anyways,
Yes. For those that don't know, there are 4 boxes of Liberty. The last
Oh,
one
okay,
is the
fine.
ammo box.
I was
Yeah.
gonna have to Google that.
yeah, so but this is the thing, is that I'm just interested to know, like, are we that I'm just interested if they're just hiding it really well, like if they're just not telling people, or
No,
if people are
No, I-
actually that
Well,
fed
think
up
about it this
with
way.
the
I think
politicians.
most
When everyone
Canadians are too
booed
fucking
him-
stupid to do it.
Okay.
Last year at Stampede, they didn't talk about it. He didn't even
That's
come
true.
to Stampede this year.
No, that's because Polyev
that's
cleaned it up.
that and like the other year everyone was talking about the Stampede sandwich. Google that.
Okay.
You don't want to
Um,
know. Don't.
Okay.
Especially
well, no,
you,
I'm
Benny.
going
You'll
to
get in
now.
trouble.
Oh,
I was
I'm
gonna say,
100% Googling.
Yeah,
I'll tell
don't.
you, I'll tell you who else came to
I'm-
Stampede this year. Not on air.
Oh.
Okay.
Liz,
You were.
I was at the Stampede.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
you didn't reach out to Benny?
I did. I saw
Oh.
Benny.
Yeah, I didn't remember
he-
that I was around Stampede.
Oh, he forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I knew it
Yeah, I was
happened. I
like-
just didn't.
I was like, no,
And you
I
didn't
went to
associate
the
those things with
Stampede.
going to the Stampede.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Benny is clearly not, as you said, adjusted to life in the West yet, because he just thinks that a bunch of cowboys show up just because it's that part of the world.
Is this is this a Reddit and like subreddit?
Yeah, don't do it. It's a public display of affection amongst 3 people in public, on the grounds of the Stampede.
Oh, that's not
That's
what
not
hence
what
the-
my
hence-
Google search is showing.
Hence the
Yeah,
Stampede
that's-
sandwich. Yeah,
That's not what's showing up here.
no, I'll
Yeah, you're gonna have to send it.
reach
later.
out to the show
No, I don't know if I
feedback,
want
and
that.
I can send you guys the link.
Thanks. I'll be sure to
It's
put my
favorite.
VPN
It's on his favorite list.
before.
Yeah.
I don't even
Okay,
have
anyways.
like safe search on it. I'm just getting different
Yep,
food from
no,
from the
That's what I got
Stampede.
too.
Okay, great.
It
awesome.
was a public three-way
Oh,
on the grounds, like in the little corner there that was going on as people were walking. There you go. Now you know what it is. Stampede sandwich.
it's awful.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're welcome.
I'm glad I missed it this year again.
I honestly like if you like a spectacle, go to something like the Stampede. But if you actually want to see rodeo, if you actually want, you
Yeah.
like, don't
You go to the
go.
local.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
Events.
that's what everyone tells me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
talking about the sex in the corner or
Yes.
No.
Yeah, that is the
No.
spectacle. So if you want to see the
Yeah,
spectacle, you go to the
just what
Stampede.
spectacle are you
No.
But if
talking
you want to
about?
actually see rodeo, yeah, then you go, and not what the Urban
Oh.
Dictionary will tell you what a rodeo is. That's a whole other thing. An actual
oh my
rodeo,
gosh.
an
No.
actual rodeo with real cowboys, like real ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Not Brad Paisley. Sorry, Brad. I like your music, but you're not a real cowboy.
No. Okay.
Yeah. But yes.
Sanity.
More fun politics things here. Voters head to the polls in 2 federal by-elections. So much like the ones that happened in Toronto not too long ago, where the Liberals got absolutely decimated.
Yeah.
There's one in Manitoba and Quebec today.
Is that because people are switching sides or stepping down?
Uh,
I didn't read this, so.
so if somebody steps down or like just ends their party affiliation, they become an independent.
Yeah.
Because you
Well,
vote
that's
for
kind of
the
what I thought.
Yeah, you vote for
but
the
not
person.
party,
Not-
except that
yeah.
they're affiliated with the party, and then if the party, so our system is weird and doesn't make sense. Thanks, British people. But yeah, I believe people are stepping down. Maybe their name's on the list that hasn't been
Okay.
circulated yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some
Oh, it looks
by-elections.
like
They are also
there's
creating some new like our
ridings
next
or whatever.
election. Yeah, it's not going to be 338. It's going to be like 340 or something like that. 338 was
got
a
it.
nice number
Okay.
though, because it was a fun caliber. But
I'm looking at I'm looking at in
yeah, these look like
any
they're existing
information.
ridings.
It's wild. It's
Well,
but like if you're looking at the ballot, the election results from today for the LaSalle and Mauard Verdun,
yeah,
the preliminary results, if you look at the party affiliation, it's all like independent, no affiliation, marijuana, Marxist Leninist,
yeah.
rhinoceros party.
Rhino
yeah,
Party is
actually.
my favorite.
Yeah, the Rhino Party. I was like, we all know what that means. CFP, which is, I think, is that the Christian one?
Maybe.
And then there's like one conservative, one Green Party, one liberal. Oh no, CHP is the Christian Heritage.
Yeah.
I don't know what CFP is. It's in Quebec, so it could be like,
Oh yeah,
knows?
some separatist party or something.
But it's like, it's wild if you look at that, because like you don't see too many ballots that are like, oh, you
No.
still got a PPC too.
Well,
Like,
good for
but it's
them,
like
but-
99% is
Liberal Bloc
independent.
Québécois. Yeah.
There's like
Yeah.
one liberal.
Yeah,
on the
one
ballot.
liberal and one
I
Bloc
just
Québécois.
Googled the
Hmm.
party Rhino the Rhino Party Canada.
Yeah.
What
I
about
did
it?
not know
That there was a
it's
Rhino
like,
party?
well, I didn't know there's Rhino Party, and I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was.
It's a
this is
joke.
hysterical.
Yeah.
But they're
But this
Basically, if they ever
recognized.
get elected, their mandate is to immediately step down.
And that's not very nice. The rest of us have to pay for that shit.
Yeah, but it's also hilarious. But also, if you're
Also
really
true.
tired of politics, there's another party, the Lemon Party, and you can visit lemonparty.org and find out all about them.
I'm not
After the
Googling
sandwich you
that.
recommended, I'm not trusting that search.
I wouldn't either, but for those of you that are daring, by all means, please visit that.
I have like
I'm probably
morbid
gonna fucking do it.
curiosity. I was gonna say, I was like, I
I
have
was like,
morbid
I'm probably gonna do
curiosity,
it.
and
Um,
it always gets me
but-
into trouble. So
Yeah, well, this one won't, I promise.
Okay.
It's certainly not into trouble like Ottawa's going to be now that they've asked some defense contractors to make pitches for new submarine fleet.
That sounds like a
Right.
worthy investment if I was a defense contractor.
I was
Well,
gonna
I mean,
say,
yeah,
ugh.
General Dynamics, baby. Do you make submarines? Because if so, we're looking at you. Please give us
Yeah.
more free T-shirts for the Army run.
I just like why the army is so decimated at this point. Why
Yeah,
are
but
we
it's probably-
dumping
Well,
money into
Well, I
subs?
mean, it is at least as
Ukraine
decimated
probably
as our
needs them.
4-decade-old Victoria class submarines.
Yeah,
So
no,
we're
but there's
probably-
other issues. There's
Oh,
other
I know.
issues.
It's
Oh,
okay though. That
like-
one general that retired that got accused of sexual harassment got found not guilty. It's fine.
Yeah.
He
We-
got
we-
found
we-
not
we will.
guilty.
Yeah.
Now,
We-
is it
we don't
because
talk
it
about
wasn't
that.
actual sexual harassment, or because people didn't like what he had to say and they couldn't pull it through the courts?
I don't.
Yeah, but
Don't
I
know,
mean,
so it
if you
doesn't
were
matter.
gonna- we were kind of talking about that earlier though, and I am going to jump to something else, but we were talking about how, like, just in our chat, how if they can't get you for the one thing, they're going to find you for another thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's the
That
last
article,
to talk
that
about,
last article really, I
Yeah.
think, reflects that. Like, and it's
Yep.
just it's such a shitty thing because
Well,
like
so
the average person, I still think about this. I'm like, the average person isn't necessarily going to speak outside of their circle of friends against the government or against what's going on, because there's a lot of people who are socially, I'm going to call them socially divergent, that blatantly support some of this stuff. And they're a little cray, nobody really wants to be tied to that. So people that speak out on good topics, or people that deal with stuff, tend to kind of be doing it alone. And
Yep. Well, absolutely. And I mean, like, I am not against the Army looking for new submarines.
Mhm.
I think they need them, especially when the ones that we have are 40 years old. But my problem is that, like, if they're going to do this, they need to actually do this. But it looks like, the NATO had their meeting not too long ago, not the one where they decided that they're going to launch weapons at Russia, but the one like last year where they
Mhm.
kind of complained that Canada's not pulling its weight in spending 2% of GDP and all that. So Bill Blair, when he was over there and drunk, speculation, not fact. Speculation that he was drunk based on the fact that he's an alcoholic.
Previous behaviors.
Yeah.
Funny how that happens.
They had to, like, this was a thing that was kind of like, well, we'll make it up by buying new submarines, and we need them. And like the Edmonton Mall has more submarines than we do, so they're like,
I've been in one of those subs.
yeah. So they're going down the thing. So they've put an RFI in, so a request for information, which is the first step. Doesn't mean that they're actually going to actually do anything on this,
Yeah, no.
but it makes it look like they're doing something about this and that they might potentially spend some money. My concern is that, like, they do this just like we've done with the CF-18s, which we're not allowed to whip out and show how big they are unless it's at the air show, in which case they can show one and one only.
Is that because the other ones can't fly?
Probably, yes. I think
Huh.
we have something like 64 of them in our possession as an Air Force, and that is it. We have other
Yeah.
planes, obviously, that are part of it, but like the CF-18, which is our fighter plane, which is a very
Hornet.
old, antiquated design, they're allowed to have one of them on display at the air show. That is it.
I mean,
Yeah.
then,
And that
then we
design
put a bunch.
is, our current plane still, and is older than planes that the U.S. military has mothballed because they are antiquated. But that's beside the point.
But how much money have we spent on those new F-35s that we're supposed to get? Aren't
Well,
we, like,
exactly,
the
right.
only
So
country
that's my
that
worry
didn't
about the
fucking get one?
submarines is that we're gonna place an order, we're gonna cancel the order, but we've had to put money down to guarantee our space in line. And then, like, another year or two later, we're gonna be like, okay, maybe we do need these, and we're gonna put more money down and be like, I swear this time we're gonna buy them.
Yeah.
And then we cancel the order again, and like we just keep pissing money away that we don't have. And we don't end up
with the product.
Yeah, with a submarine. And we're still stuck. And then by that point, like the fucking things will be like 50, 60 years old.
And
That's
it's still
my
10
worry.
years
That's-
away.
Maybe that's the criticism that I'm kind of getting at, is I just feel like there's not
Yeah.
like we don't even have an appropriate infrastructure to get people into the military. And then everybody's like, oh, we want all these new toys. And it's like, listen, you've taxed everybody out the ass. Okay.
Yeah.
You want them to join the military, but you've made the military a laughing stock. So
Yeah.
people, the kind of people you want to attract into the military, don't want to
And
go.
told you to go pound sand.
Yeah, but they also
Yeah.
like, okay, could you imagine knowing, like, even if you believe in the mandate of the Canadian military and you think it's like a super boss thing to do,
Yeah, and still
could
a
you
noble
imagine
profession. And,
knowing,
but,
yeah, that JT's your boss though?
yeah.
Like,
Well, and just
Well,
that's
to
petrifying.
use that as to segue to the next thing, because it's all about the procurement. Canadian military admits new sleeping bags are not suited to Canadian winters.
That's
So this is
insane.
the other problem. It's not even just that, like,
Yeah.
we have old antiquated stuff that's not getting replaced and that JT is your boss. When they do replace the things, the procurement team fucks it all up. So like kick it back to like 2018. We didn't have enough sleeping bags to go around, so they were requesting that everyone turn them in. So we finally, I guess,
So we can do a
decided to
share program.
something about this, like, what, 6 years
Insanity.
later, we finally decide to fix the sleeping bag problem. So we buy all these sleeping bags for $34.8 million. And somehow they've made it through all of the procurement testing and everything else. And they give them to our guys like right before they go away on a training exercise with the US in Alaska. And they found out that they don't really work so well in temperatures ranging from 5 degrees to minus 20 degrees Celsius.
That's like
That's
a
like-
basic sleeping bag.
That's a basic Canadian sleeping bag for
And,
winter.
and apparently they've
That's what you
reported
get
that,
at Walmart and Canadian Tire, man.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's the
actually
cheap
it's funny
one.
because they actually
Yeah.
recommended like maybe
Yeah.
they should have gone to Canadian Tire to get something.
Yeah,
Because yeah, you could have personally bought one 100 times fucking better.
yeah,
Mountain Equipment Co-op, like
Yeah.
lots
yeah,
of places.
you could go into
and
literally
probably
anywhere.
a fuckload cheaper.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
apparently the troops have
It's
reported that they
insanity.
are even cold inside their tent with the heater going.
Oh no.
So
You know it's bad when the
Insanity.
Americans say it's warm in
Yeah.
Alaska, and the
Well, and-
Canadians are complaining.
yeah. So
No.
apparently,
Yeah.
what the Army has
Stock.
done is that they've made the decision to loan the original Arctic sleeping bags out to people that are going to cold weather or winter stuff, and that they will use these for like early spring, late fall sleeping bags.
So it costs us $34 million for a
Yeah.
time of year where you don't need a sleeping bag.
Yes,
But
Fine
that's
with the
the
blanket.
thing, is that
They-
like if you understand how procurement works for any department in the government,
Who's
And,
the cheapest?
like no, you just have to justify it. And the
Yep.
person that's doing procurement isn't somebody that goes and like tests
Tests.
it out. They're the ones that gets like a list that says, oh, okay, I can buy from here A, B, C, and
But-
D. Like it's, and I'm sure that whoever they're purchasing from is somehow connected or friend of a friend of
Oh,
a
yeah.
friend of a friend.
So
Like it's ugh.
the actual
Military
things here
industrial
says that
complex hits
they
Walmart.
they were chosen following a rigorous competitive process, and that the technical requirements used to make the selection included insulation value, weight of the bags, and the packing volume.
Yeah, okay. I doubt that they consulted with somebody who does overland hiking and like all season backpacking, because they've got that shit locked down and they don't freeze.
Agreed.
Well,
Like-
just looking at the
but I do-
picture,
yeah.
it looks like it's 2 bivy bags and 1 sleeping bag. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never dealt with multiple sleep systems. You should have insulation on 2 of those levels, not 1.
So
So-
yeah, so I mean, from experience in the US sleep system, because I have one, there
Right.
is an inner bag which is a thinner insulation, but there is some insulation. An outer bag which is thicker, and then a Gore-Tex cover that goes over it. So you can
Okay.
use any
or
one
all.
of those pieces or any combination of those things because they're designed to work as a single, a pair, or a trio. So when it's
Right.
like minus
Got
a
it.
million, you use the 2 bags and the bivy bag, and that's what gets you down to like minus 40 or something like that, or like thereabouts. And like you're also supposed to like sleep in your clothes
Yeah.
because that's what the army
So-
does.
Right.
But
So
I have
I've-
used that sleeping bag in shitty conditions and it works.
Yeah, so I've used the Canadian one when I was in cadets. It was like we did winter exercises, and it was like, yeah, here's the giant one. So probably the old one they were getting rid of, and that one
Yeah.
was similar. It didn't have the Gore-Tex bag, but it had an
It's got
inner
that
and
hood?
outer. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
literally a mummy. Like you get in it, it was a hood, but they
Yeah.
had the inner, and the inner sleeve was kind of like I don't want to say felt, but kind of like a felt soft
Yeah.
microfiber
adds-
material. But
Yeah,
that
that
was
adds
the
warmth.
inside, and then you were your other bag, and then the exterior bag, and then you were in the fucking teepee tent
Yeah.
that had the heater in it, and you slept with all your clothes at your feet, you know,
Yeah.
so it would be warm when you got up in the middle of the night or whatever. So I mean, they were big, they were bulky, but they
Which is the
worked.
problem, but they work, yes.
So, I mean, the Gore-Tex outside would have been really nice because, I mean, they might have been better afterwards, but the ones
No, but
I
if you
had
look at the
didn't have a
picture,
Gore-Tex thing. Yeah,
if you look at the picture, it's like a thin slate sleeping bag, and then maybe like what I would think would be like a fitted sheet kind of material that you put on your mattress, and then another
Yeah.
and then another thin bag. Like
Well,
that's
so
not
the thin one is the Gore-Tex liner, so that like if you don't have a tent and you have to just sleep in the woods because you're in combat,
right.
you stay dry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from experience, if you throw one of those on any sleeping bag, you gain like another 5 degrees, give or take, just because
Yeah.
of the air trap between them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then like
so
your
from the
other
looks of
bags,
it,
but yeah, there doesn't appear to
That
be
middle
like
bag doesn't look like it's adding much, and the smallest bag. I would
the
think would be a
the
little
other
bigger.
one doesn't look like it's adding much. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
no. So from the looks of it, I would say you would get into the middle bag, and then you would get in the outer or the bottom bag, and then you put those two in the top
Yeah.
one, and that's your Gore-Tex.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if that's like a
Neither of those, like-
feltish material or anything like that middle
They
one.
look like
It
that
just-
silky
yeah.
nylon sleeping bag material. But
Yeah.
yeah, the problem is that the one that's supposed to be the warmer of the two doesn't look like it's going to be all that warm. But this is the problem with the procurement thing, and this is why I'm worried about the submarines.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
We're gonna have a
Um,
canoe with the fucking
yeah.
hood.
So
Hey, as long as it doesn't crash.
but speaking of like the military and people in the military that are useless and terrible, we have an article here about Mr. Harjeet. So
What?
apparently the Liberal Minister for Disaster Preparedness, is that his thing? The one that was instrumental in planning Op Medusa.
Did I miss that one?
Yeah,
I
what
don't-
fucking article are you on?
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
yeah.
I don't know what article you were on,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's not what I'm seeing.
No, don't worry.
Well, do
Okay.
you have one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, obviously you can tell who the one person that read the fucking articles is.
I was
So-
gonna
It's
say.
like-
Mr. Harjeet Singh here is accusing of
Oh.
our friend PP of being a racist. And the reason that he is calling him a racist is because Mr. PP, Pierre Poilievre, has referred to as Jagmeet Singh as sellout Singh. And Harjeet says that
nice.
this is racist because it now paints all Sikhs
I don't.
as sellouts.
That's racist. What Miss?
Oh my gosh! My
what the
favorite
honorable
thing is that you
minister
ask
is
just
saying
ask
Yeah.
is
the
racist.
Sikhs what their thoughts are of Jagmeet. Ask
Yeah.
some Sikhs. Like next
Now-
time you see a Sikh, go ask.
Yeah. Now I did some
Okay.
research into this. So, and if you're ever confused why they all have the same last name, is because they've all at some point in history changed their last name to match the guru who delegated it and said that
Yeah,
we all need to be Singhs to like end the caste system and all of the things. So they've all either got a middle name or last name that is Singh. So it is not necessarily specifically targeting the Sikh community as a whole, but when you all have the last name and you're calling him out as a person using his last name. So if his last name was Smith and you called him Sellout Smith because it rhymed, or it doesn't rhyme, but like the whole, what is it? Allegory? No. Whatever's the one where it's got alliteration, I think is the one where you got like multiple words with the letter all at the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I was really
works.
hoping you weren't going for the SS abbreviation.
No, I wouldn't do
Okay.
that. But it can't help that you guys all have the same last name. Like that's your
Yeah.
choice.
I feel
Yeah,
like you
He's
have
not
to
referring
explain
to
it
all
that
of them.
much.
He's literally referring to a particular person using their last name.
Yeah.
It's
like,
not racist.
you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Well, but I mean, like,
Aw,
There's so
I was
many
getting all
things that are going
excited
But
through
it's
my
also like-
brain right now.
it sounded
that I
like
like, the
can't
so
thing
much
say
is, like,
that.
enthusiasm in your voice. I was like, yes, tell
are
me.
you implying that only Sikhs can be sellouts, and that by saying that he's a sellout?
Well, that's what I originally
That's-
thought was going
like-
on, but then saying that a lot of Sikhs or all Sikh practicing Sikhs use the name Singh, I'm sure if you said sell out Jagmeet, then someone would say the same thing.
Well,
You're
exactly,
saying all
right?
Jagmeets are like there are
Yeah.
a lot
That's
of
like
there's-
saying
there-
that's
But,
like saying sell out Smith. There's
Yeah.
enough people with Smith as the last name,
But yeah,
but
like,
guess what? Where
Yeah.
it's like the whitest last name, so you're not allowed to be offended.
well,
Yeah, so that's not
just it,
racist
like,
because it's against the white person.
But that's
Bring
the
it
thing. Is like,
on.
are you suggesting that like only Sikhs can be sellouts? Because if so, you're the racist. Like,
Yeah,
I
how
know,
would
what I
anyone
thought.
think
That's
by
a
you
whole
saying
other
that you were
thing.
implying that they are all sellouts?
Right.
No, it's
So-
this particular one. It is yeah.
Mhm.
Last article following up on an old one here. Restaurant owner who fought COVID lockdown guilty of operating without a license.
this came up in our chat, and I just remember this
Yeah.
like they're finding this out originally. That's
So-
what they got him on the fact that
Yeah.
he's been running this business for how long without a license?
Well, I mean, the
But not
business
because-
itself has been closed since then, effectively. But
Yeah, because they stormed it
Going-
with the horses.
yeah, going back to 2018, right? So like 6 years ago, or even in 2020. So in 2020, when all of this was happening, they were already complaining that he didn't have a business license back then. It's now 2024. And I think even in 2018, they were talking about like issuing him tickets every now and again and like urging him to like, hey man,
okay,
like,
to be able to do
can
something.
you,
that
can you
he
just go
enjoys.
and get your business license already? Because like you're gonna just keep getting tickets, and like every so often they would come and do that. But somehow we've managed to go from 2020, where they stormed the place on horseback and all of the things and locked him out of his restaurant. Nothing else happens. And now 4 years later, a thing that is like a bylaw infraction, effectively,
Yeah.
they've decided that he's guilty of it.
But I will say, like, they're just getting to some, like, the system is so backlogged. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody wants to like come and take over Canada, she's ripe for the picking. Like, my a couple
Gross.
of
Why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
We
that's
don't
the
even have
point.
good sleeping
Like,
bags you can steal from us.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the point though, right? Like, you want to become like a tyrannical leader. Like, we're primed, we're ready, bring it on.
I mean, we
Yeah,
already
we
got
are-
one.
we already got one, so we're used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think you could probably just walk in and be like, it's my turn.
Yeah. Just change
but-
your name to Trudeau. We'll just vote you
yeah,
in. It'll be
we'll
fine.
just vote you in.
Just
yeah,
have good socks. You
yeah.
have to have
Yeah.
good socks.
Good
That'll
Yeah,
get you.
socks.
yeah. Oh, this is so
yeah.
ridiculous. Like 17 violations of the Toronto Municipal Code.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Oh my gosh, no, my brain is just breaking on this.
It's
'Cause
so
it's
dumb that it's
so
taken them this
dumb.
long to issue tickets because this is like it's a municipal bylaw infraction. You literally just write a ticket for it. So why
yeah.
it took them 4 freaking years to write this guy a ticket? Because you write the ticket and then he fights it and then whatever. But like 4 years.
But it's something to be said as well that is what they got him on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, kudos to you, man. Because if
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what
This
they're
is
taking
the-
you
They
down, if
did
that's
this-
what they've been relegated to, I'm here for it.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
you know, like
I mean,
They
it's
did the
like
same thing
taking
with Capone.
down. Yeah.
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 Tax evasion.
Yeah, they took Capone on
Could get you
tax
on anything
evasion.
else, but we can get you on this. And it's just like, okay, well,
Yeah.
at least Capone
Yeah.
was like a bad person and murdered people. This guy was literally selling barbecue sandwiches to people that were willing to go in and accept the risk.
Without a license, though, Gavin, it's just
But
as
if
bad.
you
I
look at
think
like
at
how
that
many
point,
businesses
people didn't
operate in the
care
city
about
without a
that.
license,
Oh,
like
But the crazy part is, I don't even think that doesn't mean he wasn't getting health inspected.
he was.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Because a
like-
business
like-
license is different than your
Business
health
license is
inspection.
completely different than a health
Yeah.
inspection. Like
Yeah,
that's
a
just
health inspection
you-
can shut you down.
yeah. A business license just,
is
rolls
like
over.
you're literally
It's
like
a tax grab.
if it pleases the municipal crown, might I please operate a business in your
Yeah.
confines? Like,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're like,
It's
you
the
give us
dumbest
$100,
thing, 'cause,
$500, and you can keep going.
yeah, because he still would have had to get his little green check mark for Toronto that says he passed his inspection with all the food inspectors, and he would still have to pay taxes on any profits that the business made and that he made personally that were income, and then all like so he's
But
paying
that's
all
a
of the
different
things other
department. Like that's
yeah and whatever
How
if
much
he
is it
owned
like a
or
business
rented-
license? Like $100?
depends
That's
on where you are.
municipality. Municipality based. So
Yeah.
where I work, we have a business license in the little town we are, and it's like $100, and it's like cash. You get a receipt, but it's like cash. Like, right? My boss is like, okay, go pay it with like your company card. I was like, they don't take credit. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, cash or check? He's like, we're in 2024. How is like debit even not an option? I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
Then we have another shop there, it's like $450, $500 a year. So I'm like, it varies. I don't know what their justification is for whatever, but yeah, it varies in price.
I'm pretty
And
sure I got a
it is what it
provincial
is.
license for like $150 one time.
So it looks
Yeah.
like you
Like,
can
it
get
depends.
one for $66 here on the internet. Looking quickly.
While you guys are still looking, I'm gonna head out.
All right.
Good
All
night,
right,
Liz.
night.
Go. Do you
Guys.
want to tell people where they can find you or sign up for your women's self-defense class?
Oh,
We'll help you.
Crossroads Martial Fitness Academy.
Defend yourself against women.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
especially the
They-
ones that compete in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks for coming out.
And a delight.
But yeah, I mean, just like, can just pay your business license, but whatever. But also, like, it's a stupid cash grab. So
It is.
Yeah,
But how
it
much did that
100%
cost the
is.
city to collect their, let's say it was $150. How much did it cost the city to collect that money?
Yeah.
Right.
Way
So I
more
mean,
than
you've
that.
got a guy going around. Most likely you're paying, he's either got a vehicle or you're paying him for his mileage, a yearly salary, an office
Yeah.
space inside that building that they probably don't have to pay a business license to operate the business license office out
Well,
of,
no, when you're the government, you don't have to pay anything.
right? So all these things, like, it is a cash grab, and I'm like, I can, as much as I will say, like, I kind of agree, but not really. Like, I'm not entirely opposed to it. Yes, it's a cash grab, but it does kind of allow everybody to understand, like, okay, what's going on here, right? They can kind of keep shady business out. And I'm not
Well-
saying that government should be involved with that, because that should be you and me's decision to decide to go to that establishment or not.
Well, and it's just that, like,
And it like, it's a weird, I'm not entirely opposed, but it is a cash grab.
like, just whatever. Fuck them. But, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they had to get him on, which means, I mean, I guess we'll wait and see about any of the other stuff, but potentially that means because they couldn't get him on all the other mandates, maybe those mandates weren't actually law after all, and this is their way of low-key admitting it. Right? They couldn't get them on breaking COVID rules and regulations and that, so
And that's
I
still
don't
a
know.
thing to this day.
but yeah, I don't know. That's all I have. But yeah, Benny, where can people find you when you're not hanging out and being a fox on the internet?
You can go to the Pat Canada. We're finally up and running again. We do not have all our product in stock, but what we do, we are shipping. So feel free to purchase something.
Awesome. Pierre? And where is your tax shelter currently?
My tax shelter is off the wall customizing. I don't know what socialist medias we're on. Off the wall customizing a Gmail. You can help fund my legal defense for operating without a business license, apparently,
Yeah.
in my municipality.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, any shirts, sweaters, laser engraving you need. You can probably
Have an
make that happen.
inappropriate T-shirt party.
There you
Oh,
go.
buddy. I've got some.
I sent that one to your wife, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so all the things we can do that. Or you can find me here. I deleted Instagram because our mobile data went up, and I'm like, why is that? So I looked at my phone and I'm like, I haven't opened Instagram in like 2 weeks.
Been using
But it
stuff in the
used
background.
but it used 6 gigs of my data. So it's like, yeah, uninstall, close. So yeah, I'm done with those things. You can find me here or email and I'll send a pigeon your way.
Or occasionally as myself, the other CPP.
Oh, yes, that's true. It's been a while since I've been on that one as well.
That's right. We can't forget the copycat CPP. They are friends of ours, and sometimes we'll moonlight on our show, and we moonlight on their show.
Yes. So
Yeah.
yes, Sundays on Canadian Prepper podcasts
Yes.
on the YouTubes and whatever else they got.
Yeah. More socialist medias. If you've listened to the show this long, you definitely deserve a discount. So visit ragnaroktactical.com. Use the code ragnaroktactical.ca. CA, Canadian company. Use the code Patriot to check out, get a discount on some stuff. I can't promise that all of our stuff is in stock either, but we appreciate your business, much like we also appreciate your feedback. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find me personally on Instagram's UrbexGTA. I attend concerts and do some things and post some funny clips from time to time, but I try to spend as much time off the socialist medias and living my real life in the real world as I can. So, take that for what it's worth. Apologies to Rod Giltaca. Him and I did connect at TACCOM this year. It was great to see him again. And my people are talking to his people, and hopefully we will have him on soon. He did absolutely express an interest in being in the show. We just got to get our schedules all synced up. So also to remind everybody that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable business licenses.